Britain's decision nearly 4 months ago to compensate about 5,000 Mau Mau veterans who were tortured during the Mau Mau uprising in the 1950s would rewrite the history books. The out-of-court settlement reached at the time led us to the trail of a Mau Mau veteran.
Machozi tumetiririka machozi hata wa leo tunasiti tu kuendelea kulia. Shauri ya maumivu ndani ya mwili.
Mativo Ndolo, who settled in Zaveni village, Makueni County after the Mau Mau uprising from 1952 until 1962, a cause he was willing to give his life for. 4 months later, and we returned to his Nzeveni home to establish whether he has since been compensated. He takes pride in showing us a calf he bought from his payout, one he has fondly named Mau Mau, giving voice to one of the darkest episodes of Kenya's history, where torture, physical, emotional and psychological, were the key weapons of choice for the colonialists. And now, almost 6 decades later, the calf and a cart are what he has to show from his share of the compensation.
Nikununua ndawa tu. Nikununua ndawa kanyama kuongeza vitamini katika mwili.
This freedom fighter says he received 50,000 shillings in compensation.
Basi hiyo pesa ni pesa gani? Hata kama ng'ombe nikuuza ng'ombe, hiyo ng'ombe ndio kuna pesa nyingi kuliko hiyo. Lakini ikawa sasa utafanya nini? Iwe inatosha, iwe itoshi. Utasema alhamdulillah, maana hakuna nguvu ya kujiongeza wewe mwenyewe.
Mativo Ndolo is nowhere near the man he was before being detained in a camp and tortured by the British colonialists. More than 50 years later, he is still faced by the inflictions of human rights violations.
Kwa watu walikuwa napinywa. Nikupinywa ama nikuwa tuna place. Kupinywa. Wana place street. Una mume. Muke ni kuwekwa suba.
Kuna wale ambao umepigana nao na hawajapata pesa.
Ni wengi. Ni wengi. Kwanza ni party. Tulipata hii 50 unasikia mimi natamka. Kuna wengine tu wanasikia ubumi.
Given a past that saw his wife detained and tortured in the same camp where he was being held, today she is one of the freedom fighters who have not been compensated.
Whether we muito kunwa kana kakaluma. Ukavalo kaandimba.
The intricacies of compensation for the Mau Mau veterans introduces us to a different scenario in Dumbereni, Kiambu County, and to 87-year-old Michael Kinge, for whom everyday living has meant laying to rest a haunting past. Kinge received 300,000 shillings in compensation.
Hiyo si pesa maana. Kwa maana tabu tulikuwa tabu mzungu alitupatia. Ni kitu ni kama tuseme hiyo ni kitu ni kama sijui kama kitu gani. Hata haiwezi kutambulika. Kwa maana ni kitu kidogo saidi.
While such freedom fighters as Mativo and Kinge appreciate that their struggle was not in vain, they maintain that no amount of compensation can be enough to validate the price they paid to see Kenya liberated, following the brutality meted out on thousands of Kenyans detained during the Mau Mau uprising.
We interviewed more than 15,000 people, and the main criteria was people who met the criteria of whether you suffered or you suffered torture during that state of emergency period. So it was not about just people who are involved in the struggle. So that's why, based on that criteria, then we got 5,228 people.
The historic settlement is significant for aged Mau Mau veterans whose bodies and spirits were broken. But beyond the compensation is that their struggle continues. Mbilu, Citizen TV, Makueni County.